What is going on, guys? I hope you're having an amazing day. Now, today we're going to be looking at Candace Owens debates Russell Brand. Now, what about? I have no idea, but that's literally the title of the video. It's actually hilarious because Russell Brand is known as a comedian, is known as some type of, I want to say pseudo-political figure. I don't know. Now he's pretty much originally known for his comedy, if I'm not mistaken. And then Candace Owens, she's like full-time conservative, very stern, I don't see her being funny that much. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, she's always so serious. Which is not a bad thing, by the way. So I'm very curious to get up into this, and without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Do you like Candace Owens, or do you absolutely detest her? Do you like me, or do you absolutely loathe me? Wherever you stand on two polarising figures, here we are in conversation. Now, obviously, we talk about politics. Particularly, I wanted to press Candace Owens on the idea that most people that live in systems of elitism and privilege are in those positions because of advantages that have been endowed upon them. Candace Owens, more of an individualist than I am, you might imagine, strongly contests my perspective. Hopefully, we remain respectful and light and kind with one another while vehemently disagreeing. I'm going to have further conversations with Candace Owens, so look out for those. This conversation took place on my podcast, Under the Skin, available on Luminary. You can subscribe to it. There's a link in the description. Let me know what you think about this conversation in the comments below.
Look, I agree, but do you not think this individualistic culture is in itself destroying the principles at a spiritual, human level of community? Do you not think when people see this economic inequality, this disparity, I'm not talking about hating your little rich friend Lola Bell or whoever it was, you went round to see her nanny and were infuriated by it, but thought, oh, well, maybe one day I'll have my own nanny. Do you not think that economic inequality creates in a human being a sense of injustice, of unfairness? Because people, do you know what, Candace? 90% of people that are rich, do you know why they're rich? They was born rich.
Okay, I can tell you something. I think that economic disparity creates that feeling, but a fundamental understanding in economics can help you.
Do you know that
that
the most people that are rich are born rich? It's not like there's a tiny minority of people that are like you that come from a poor background and manage to
Russell Brand right now is trying to make a moral argument, which is very interesting in the sense that he is right that when people actually see, you know, economic inequality within themselves, with one another, you know, like say like somebody's rich and then somebody's poor, of course they're going to feel some type of way. Of course they're going to feel some type of injustice is going on. But like Candace Owens was trying to say before Russell Brand, I'm not going to say rudely interrupt because it is his show if I'm not mistaken, but what she was going to say is, hey, if you actually have a sense of understanding of economics to a fundamental level, then you will no longer, I think, have that malice in your heart or that sense of injustice in your heart for the rich, or at least some of the rich, because some of the rich still also practices, you know, crony capitalism and all of that stuff like that. But with that being said, let's keep going. I think it's very interesting so far.
Overcome it. And this is what's a problem I've noticed with a lot of great people, is they sort of believe that their greatness is something that can be replicated, and I don't think it can.
I see. So I believe in the individual, you don't. That's our fundamental differences.
That the primary goal of the individual should be to serve the community.
I do not believe that the primary goal of
what
an
do you
individual,
think the primary goal of the
individual
individual
should be? I think that once an individual feels
serve
that they
the
have
individual.
Served, so you're discounting the human spirit.
I'm not discounting it. I'm
is.
saying that's all
Let
there
me ask
is.
You, let me ask you. No, there's not. In a humanity, think of animals in the wild. You don't even have to go to humanity. We can just think about animals in the wild. What is our human instinct, okay? Are you going to make sure that everyone on this block is fed before you feed yourself? Do you go around and say, hey, have you had breakfast this morning?
Listen,
hey, have you had breakfast this morning? Hey, or are you going to make sure you're eating? And if you have an excess, of course you're going to do the human condition, and our incentives are going to be to want to help people.
Are you mental?
Once
the richest 15 people on the planet have got as much accumulative wealth as the poorest 5 billion.
But you're talking.
Well, okay, hold on, wait, Russell Brand. At that point, aren't you making her argument for her? She's literally saying, hey, people will literally focus on themselves more than others, just fundamentally on the fundamental level. I was actually going to disagree with that, but then Russell Brand made that weird point right there, which I don't know, that's kind of strange. He's going to say, like, you know, the top rich people have more money than everybody at the bottom, which is true in the fundamental level, except at the same time, that's proven her point that people in general, at least humans, are very selfish by nature and are very, how do you say, what's the right word to use? I mean gluttonous. If you ask me, you know, they're very greedy. Greed is the right word to use. I guess greed. I said gluttony. Greed is the right word to use if you ask me. They're very greedy. So if you ask me, I think Candace Owens is correct in pointing out the nature of the human and the lack thereof morals, if not checked by a greater power. If you ask me,
that's an excess.
No.
That's an excess.
Okay. Excuse me. First and foremost, you're talking about literally 0.00001% of the world is what
Let's
you're
get
talking
'em.
about. Okay,
Let's
but
get 'em.
and what are they preaching? What do they want? Socialism, so that nobody else has the opportunity to become what they've become. They're the ones that are pushing
They're not preaching
forth.
socialism.
Yes,
That's not
they
real
are.
socialism. Well,
Are you kidding? George Soros doesn't want socialist policies. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in
true.
the world, doesn't want socialist policies. They want to make sure that no one else has the opportunity to get to
we
where they
need to
got.
discuss our language, me and you, because what
We do.
Here's what my socialism looks like. Take Jeff Bezos' wealth from him, except for a reasonable stipend for him to live on. Something like, he can have 10 million a year or something. Tax Amazon to the ground.
So the rich people pay for 85% of all of the taxes. You think they should pay for even more?
Do you think
That's fact.
statistically
That's
true?
fact. Yes.
Don't look at me with
I'm telling
that's
you,
fact.
that's a fact.
Face.
The top 10%.
It just occurred to me: is Russell Brand a socialist? I never knew that. I don't know that much about Russell Brand, guys. So don't judge me if he is. Like, is he a socialist? Or I don't know, because it seemed like he kind of wanted to agree with Candace right there. Like, well, he did just say tax him to the ground. So is he a socialist? I don't know. I didn't know that about him. I didn't know he was a comedian. I knew that he was a funny guy. Seen his backstory, a little bit of it. Yeah, that's strange.
Pay for 85% of all the taxes. When people say they're going to raise their taxes more, I'm just like, how much more? Should we just say just pay for all the taxes?
I say this, that there is no, when you're about to use an example from the natural world, and then
I'm talking about
you
America,
backed
by the
off
way.
it,
I
didn't
forgot
you?
that I'm in. No, I was gonna say the instinct when you're in the natural world is that you feed your family first. You're not the idea that socialism tries to create goes
we are
against
no longer
human.
in the natural world, are we? We're in a
Well-
world of sort of accumulation and excess, and I don't think it's even working. I wonder about sort of, look, I wonder, because you could say, where do you draw the line? Because look at me, I've got money now.
By the way, we're still up in the natural world. It's just that we have bureaucracies and all of these systems and apparatuses to actually go against human nature. For instance, Candace Owens said, up in the natural world, you are literally inclined to focus on yourself before others, which is true. And I was going to make the point that, it depends on what type of position you're in. If you're a leader and you're like your clan or up in your, little tribe or whatever it is, you actually have to take care of other people. Except even then, before you become the leader of a tribe, you have to take care of yourself first. You have to show that you are competent enough to take care of yourself, and then you're that good at taking care of yourself. And then you branch out to other people. Basically, that's what I'm thinking. It's like a ladder. First you take care of yourself, then you take care of other people after you take care of yourself. So again, it's kind of proving her point in that way.
I'm not poor anymore, and I'm not going, right, I'll just take everything that's, the thing that I do agree with when I see sort of right-wing commentators talk, they talk about people that are, in inverted commas, from the left, and they go, well, why don't you put some refugees in your house? Why don't you give up your money? And the reason is because people are selfish, and
Yes.
in all of us, there is a kind of battle between, some of my impulses, Candace, are, I just want pleasure and fun, and I don't care about anything except myself. That's in me. That's in me, and it's strong. But I personally think I don't feel good when I live that way. There are consequences for me, and there are consequences for others. So I kind of want to live within systems that encourage collective and communal values. That instead
theft. We're talking about theft.
No, we're not talking about theft.
Demanding that people give up their stuff is theft, but it sounds
is.
pretty when you say
Listen,
encourage, incentives. No, when the government comes and
I'm not-
demands
you
that I
keep
give
bring-
to someone
no,
else,
listen,
that's theft.
You keep translating what I'm saying.
I'm
Yeah,
helping.
no, I think right here, I think she's being a bit disingenuous right there, Candace Owens. If I'm not mistaken, what he's saying is we should encourage people to give more, encourage them, not necessarily by force. Is he talking about by force? He did say tax Amazon to the ground, so that's definitely by force, by the way. But I thought, right here, at least he meant that he's trying to encourage people to share the same values as him, which is nothing wrong with that. If you're good enough, if you're charismatic enough, like Russell Brand is, he's very charismatic, to get people to join your cause, and then those people in turn actually act like you, or have your same values. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Freedom of thought at that point. Let people subscribe to whatever ideology that they want to subscribe to. But at the same time, like Candace just said, you cannot force people to give what they have. They can only give it by choice, and that's the only moral way to give.
No, you're not helping me.
He's talking about theft.
You're translating what I'm saying into rhetoric that you can argue with, creating straw men of my words as we go, so
not
you
straw
can kick
men.
them
That
over.
is theft.
No, that's. I'm not saying that. I'm not espousing the values of big government. I'm
Okay.
not saying that there's any political party that currently exists that in any way represents my views. I'm just asking if in politics, both personally and collectively, there's room for a little more compassion and love. And whilst I agree with your that there is something easy to fetishize about individual achievements in your own case or wherever we see greatness, we can't take that example of the ability of the individual to overcome adversity to condemn people that haven't been able to. Like, where is there a role then for compassion and kindness? I'm not saying let's create a big government and take away all your...
Not in politics. I was just gonna say that. Not in politics. It's too many people. It's like when we're dealing with the masses, or when we're dealing with people on a macro scale. You know, not a micro scale, but a macro scale. You cannot have any type of love and compassion. Love and compassion comes in with the individual loving his family, loving his friends, loving all of that. You know, loving all of those things. That's it. So when he says that, you know, where does that come into politics? Not really. So you have to get stuff done. Politics is about actually getting stuff done in a coherent, cohesive way, if I'm being honest with you. Just what I think personally. So, yeah.
So my thing is that the conversation should be completely separate. Americans give $500 billion in charity every single year. Okay, it has been proven that when you lower the tax rate, when government stays out of our paycheck, we actually give more. That we're inclined to. If you have more money and you're able to do it, of course you want to give and you want to help.
Yeah.
When the government is saying we're going to tax your business, if you're successful, you're going to get taxed more. You know, what is the incentive for you to want to jump and build a business if you know that you're going to be penalized for it? You're going to be penalized for success.
Yes.
That's why we believe in limited government. When I say we, obviously I work for an organization, Turning Point USA.
Oh yeah, what's that all about?
It's a winning
Turning
back.
Point.
Turning Point
What are we
USA.
meant to
We're
turn
launching
to?
it in the UK, TP UK. That's what this whole trip is about. Oh, sounds
You're
good,
hold
too.
on a minute. You're launching Turning Point, and
This
like
is back when
Turning
she was
Point
at
is what? What do
Turning
you
Point.
want us to turn to?
It's conservative principles taught in the school system because the kids are learning this lolly-dolly merry-go-round. The world's going to be purple and we're all going to have lollipops in the school systems. And then possibly from your podcast, I guess I haven't watched enough episodes. And it's just not. It's the truest, the economic model of letting people find success because they're willing to work hard. If you don't want to work hard, you shouldn't be rewarded. I don't believe in that. I don't believe,
I believe completely in meritocracy. So I agree with Candace Owens 100% right here. I think meritocracy is the best system ever because it's the natural state of human being, if you ask me. If you're not going against human nature, meritocracy is a natural state of being. Because if somebody is better than another person, they naturally get more. They're able to extract more resources from the world around them. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I actually agree with Candace Owens right here, and I'm surprised. Like, what type of? I wonder, like, how many books and different things that you have to read to get this thought process, because like it's really going against the natural state of being in a sense. But let's keep going.
about the person who doesn't have your drive.
Why should economic systems govern the way that we live our lives? Why is there not room for people to be different? Why is it that a person's value and worth should be distilled into
That's called the natural market. You can't make that go away.
That's not called the natural
Yes, it is.
market.
You can't make that
You've
go
applied
away,
that
no matter
idea
what.
too.
Tell me in the history of the world where there hasn't been some give and some take.
Yeah.
You can't make that go away. There's no magic wand that you
I
can
just said
wave
this, yes.
that's going to make human incentives and what happens in humanity go away.
I literally just said this. It's the natural state of being. I don't understand why Russell is trying to fight against this. He's kind of just doing the same exact thing that a lot of liberals do, which I guess he is a liberal in the sense of not necessarily the American liberal, but like at least the the actual official liberal term and like leftist term. He's probably that. He's trying to say exactly what they say in terms of, a man could be a woman, a woman could be a man, and all of this stuff like that. You're going against the natural state of being. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a very strange thing to do. Like, why? What's the point of it? Like right now, what is the point of exactly espousing these arguments right here?
Doesn't matter how rich or how poor society is. There's going to be give, there's going to be take. People are going to create natural markets. I have 3 apples. I'll give you 2 apples if you give me this. I mean, it just happens. This is the way the world works.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have certain natural impulses to trade and to cooperate.
Well, if you're enjoying that conversation,
That was basically the end of the video right there, guys. I think that was a very interesting discussion right there between Candace Owens. I guess I would call that an actual debate, though. That wasn't a discussion. That was a debate. I don't necessarily understand Russell's point in the sense that, he claims he wants to cure inequality by basically with compassion, except being able to have compassion in itself is inequality. That's a luxury to have compassion because those that don't have compassion can never... most likely, if you don't have compassion to me, most likely, not the 0.1% like you were talking about, but most likely, most people, if you don't have compassion, it's because you're not in a position to have it. For example, if you're working 100 hours a week, you know, just to feed your family, you're not going to have compassion for, you know, the big wigs in government. You're not going to have compassion for your man next to you necessarily, because you might even be in a bad mood because of how much you work. You know, so it just depends. Inequality always exists no matter what. That's what I think personally. But with that being said, my name is yedotti. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Peace.